Hello, 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 and welcome to the Rag Company Podcast. I'm your host, Dane Hennon. To my right, Levi Gates.
Hey, Dane, what's going on?
And to my left, Anthony Fisher.
Glad to be here, Dane.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad you guys are glad to be here too. And everybody watching, thank you for joining us on this live program. We always enjoy doing this live because there's just a little bit of colorful commentary going on in the comments. But at the same time, this is the show where we talk about our weeks and that sort of thing. We're not so much answering detailing questions, but if you want to add color commentary, please feel free to.
Good stuff.
And housekeeping. What do we got going on this week?
Thanks for asking, Dane. So I guess we'll start off this Monday main show podcast.
I'd like
with a little bit of sweeping.
I'd like to say,
a little bit of mopping.
Before we're sweeping and mopping,
a little bit of dusting.
I had to go over to John's office and grab toilet paper because we were totally out.
Were we?
Yeah, so I made sure we're fully stocked with toilet paper. I also made sure that at least in one of the bathrooms there was hand towels.
This is way too housekeeping.
So, was that based off? Was that based off of last Friday's Taco Friday?
Possibly.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I just wanted to say I've stocked both bathrooms with extra toilet paper and paper towels. So shouldn't be a need to be empty.
Levi, we appreciate you doing God's work out there.
And for those of us who are aware that the cameras and mics are running.
That's how we get started with the housekeeping on a Monday. You know, you got to make sure everything's ready to rock and roll.
Literal housekeeping. Okay.
Way to start the show.
All right.
Okay. Wow.
So this week we're in the third week of August.
Third week of August, the 23rd.
Where did the month go? I felt like it barely got here, and now it's already almost gone.
It's flying by. We had our SEMA planning meeting last week, and we literally have this week, and then it's into September, and we're into our countdown.
See, 2020 felt like it took forever, but 2021 is just hauling.
Very fast.
Yeah.
Very fast.
It's moving pretty quick. So things to note here in the Rag Company HQ. So we are continuing to film some stuff.
Yep.
We are, last week I think that Juan was here and Juan filmed. He was on with the Q&A with us.
Yes.
We also filmed several new Spanish videos for everybody, including I think it was kind of like a dirty brush video on what kind of damage it can do to paint and all of that. So things to look forward to there. And then we also have this Saturday, I believe there's a garage tour coming out.
Oh, is it yours?
I think it's
Anthony's
yours.
garage tour.
I think it is.
See, mine is too hot for TV. They can't show mine yet. They got to hold it back.
We have to take this series, series a little more seriously. Until we can do yours, Dane, because people will laugh, they'll cry.
Yeah,
it's going to be.
If we showed them mine first, it would really set a weird precedent for all the others.
Yeah.
So I get it. I understand.
So
this is my way of hyping it without hyping it.
Set the vibes, Dane.
Yeah.
Let's just say there's a lot of inside jokes for all of our podcast listeners. But besides that, we have that video coming out. We hope you enjoyed the Heap Car challenge video that actually released on Sunday.
3.
Yes.
And so just kind of giving people a rundown of that. We had a lot of fun on that one. Things start finally happening to our project cars.
Yep.
Levi did a seat upgrade, new wheels, new tires, right? Starts diving into bumpers, headlights. Dane, right? Got the help, Dan Degna, and Dan's friend, Chris, to come out and help out. And that was super cool.
They were actually here for like a week. It was really cool to have them here, just hanging out, chilling out.
Well, they helped you guys too. I mean, mine was obviously the one that got most of the press there, but they helped you guys with stuff too.
Yeah,
because they definitely offered it up, and you guys are going to try to downplay it to make it look like I got a lot of special help. The reality
Dan
is,
held the corner of my seat when I was putting it in for me, and maybe put a thumb on a bolt.
Yeah, Dane, you did a complete maintenance
Dane,
on that car.
Pulled Dane's engine and completely rebuilt it in that span of time.
Like they did a new timing chain in that.
Yeah.
First of all, it doesn't even use a chain. Second of all, nice try though.
What do I know?
They took off all 4 corners. They actually found a donor BMW and put everything on it. That was what was so crazy.
Yeah.
Well, one of the rules is you can't buy a new car, but if you change everything inside of the car,
we had to do the movie magic. Had to show the parts that they did replace, like a couple bushings here and there. And
so Dane, it may not have been that crazy, but Dane got a lot of work done on his.
No, it was good for them to be here because they did truly help you get a lot done.
The realest
and Dane didn't ask them. They were just like, all right, what do we need to do? And
No,
Dane's like, well, I
literally,
got this and this. Anthony and I are like, well, we're kind of, that's all we have to do.
Dan
They're like,
already
all right.
knew he was making his trip,
Yeah.
and it happened to time out with us doing that.
He was planning on it.
He originally wanted to help us work on the Subaru when he was coming through. But when he was coming by, I said, well, we got this new thing we're doing.
Yeah.
If you have any interest in that, we're all working on the cars.
Yep.
If you want to help, you stop through for a little bit, hang out with us. And sure enough,
and
that's
so for those
what
of
he
you that
ended up
don't
doing.
know, Dan Digna, he's
Great
Alkaline
guy.
Trio.
Yeah, Alkaline
Alkaline
Towpat
Towpat
on the comments there.
on our Q&A.
You'll see him around.
Yeah.
But, so that was done, and then on my car, it was headlights, engine bay cleaning. Also knocked out my. The car is probably in a fender bender, so I had to do a little bit of frame adjusting on it.
I
right?
love that shot of you and Jimmy just like pulling on those straps to yank the core member up.
That's just Honda stuff, man. That's what
Yeah.
you do.
Normal stuff.
You got to get that fitment. But it was kind of cool seeing all of our cars come together. My wife did say, she said, this video, this particular episode wasn't as funny as the other two. And I said,
No, it wasn't.
This one was slightly more serious. There's a little more stuff getting done.
But we were more separated too. We were all kind of off doing our own individual things. And I wondered, personally, how people watching this were going to accept that. Because I've seen some people say it's their favorite episode so far. Nobody said anything negative. But I do think that we led kind of heavy on the humor with the first couple just because it was wild and crazy starting up. Don't worry. The next episode, if I remember correctly what's going to happen in it, we'll be back to some funny stuff.
Yeah, she liked the camaraderie amongst us.
There's more joint effort going on later in the series as well.
So check that out. And one quick thing, because Dane, I know he wants to talk about it. There was a glitching issue.
Yes.
Dane, don't go into too much detail.
Oh, no.
But just explain what happened.
Well, I spent basically all of my Saturday, gave up one day of my weekend just to sit in here and try and re-export the video many, many times once we discovered there was an issue with the original export of the video. And what happened was like 14 minutes in, suddenly you start to see the screen start doing like a deep fried meme thing where it just started like smearing across the screen and the glitchy particles, all artifacts, all that stuff. Yeah. You know what when you see it. And of course it happened during my section. So I'm like, well, okay. I'm not so vain that I can't handle a little stuff happening. But at the same time, I just wanted to fix it for the sake of the viewers. So
I
probably
thought, didn't get all the way through that. But
so I tried many times to re-export, and my problem was every time I re-exported it, and I checked all the settings, deleted the renders. I don't want to get into too much detail, but basically, I re-exported it many times, and the glitches were always in different places.
Oh.
And we think this may be tied to our server recently had a little freak out, and we got it all fixed, and everything's running again, but I think some of the files may have potentially gotten a little corrupted. Just maybe just
because we have
just
those hamsters
a crumb
in the
of
server
corruption
running too hard, right? When you get some of those hamsters out of the server, right? Give them a break.
Yeah.
Take a couple days off.
Give them a towel. Yeah. Nice
Maybe
cold towel.
Buy some new hamsters.
Yeah.
Just to get things rotating again. Inside
well,
that
they
server.
die. So we need to.
Wow.
You got to get a fresh.
Actually, they don't. They definitely don't. Not while they're under our roof. Definitely not.
Definitely not.
But the point was, I spent many, many hours trying to get it to be better. And no matter what I did, it always seemed to turn out about the same, if not a little bit worse. The problem was the glitches were happening earlier in the video. And when I finally came all down to it, after spending like 9 hours
here for 9 hours.
I was here a long time. So basically, I just said, you know what? Screw it. I'm sorry, guys, but we're just going to have a little bit of glitch in this. And I thought, you know what? 14 minutes into the video, whoever's watching at that point, they're in it for the long haul.
Well, like I said, I don't even think I noticed the glitch.
Yeah. So I was happy where I was like, in my head, as an editor, you're thinking, oh my God, that's all people are going to see.
Yeah.
But in reality, like most people watching, they're just there for the content. They don't care as much about the technical aspect of it, usually.
Yeah.
So in that case, I was happy to see only one person commented on it, and I responded to that person, and then they said, no explanation necessary. I enjoyed it. And I was like, okay, thanks. So really, it's not as big a deal sometimes as you make it out in your head. And I think that could be applied to a lot of things in life, as sometimes the deal that's huge to you isn't necessarily as big of a problem for everybody else, and you just kind of have to step back and realize that. So, yeah. I'm not saying I'm going to let it go on future videos. We're going to try and fix it so it doesn't happen again. But, sometimes you just got to let it go so that it can come out on schedule as advertised, because I think the video would have performed worse if we tried to push it back just to get a good version, even if it wasn't that much better. The main storyline continues. So that's basically all I wanted to throw in there.
Yeah. And then the last thing on housekeeping is that I posted a video on Instagram, it was about a week ago. So one new exciting thing, right? But we haven't really talked about that is on its way here, right? Super new, super exciting. It's definitely something that is just going to pair well with so many other products out there. But we will be having a pink FTW.
Yeah. How great is that?
Wow.
Boom. FTW.
That's it.
In pink.
That's it, right? We just wanted a variety for no other reason did we make a pink FTW towel.
Blue,
And pink's a
orange,
bold
and
choice
pink.
too. I really like.
Blue, great for glass.
We went for it.
Great for prep wipes, panel wipes, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Orange, great for bead maker.
Bead maker, man.
Perfect for bead maker.
Yep.
And then pink
is just exists.
Just exists
because maybe you like the color pink.
Just that.
I'm sure there's something out there that's pink that you spray on that you can use
whatsoever.
Nope. No other reason. It doesn't match anything.
Nothing.
People are like, what is this like pink?
Just 'cause.
Like what's like what? I'm like, just cause.
Just enjoy it. Have fun with it.
So anyway, that's on its way. That's all. That's really the only new product that is coming from that company anytime soon is a pink FTW towel. Stay on the lookout.
I'm sure people are definitely not upset right now.
Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into our weekends. Who wants to get started on this?
Well,
Sorry,
starting off, Anthony and I had a little discussion in the office about how glorious that new Hyundai N line was. The new N, and really just
3 days ago, the official kind of press release on
phenomenal car, truly phenomenal. Very excited for it. I'm going to have to get a Bronco for my wife first before I can get myself that.
I think they're making it really hard for us nowadays, right? Because we're living in a pretty prime time for new cars coming out, right?
You wouldn't think it, but
new cars that nobody can get a hold of, right? But think about this. You have the new Z coming out.
Oh, yeah. Gorgeous car.
Insane, right?
Beautiful.
A beautiful tribute to the Datsun, right?
Yeah.
In terms of overall looks, still essentially a 370 underneath.
Oh, my dad,
everything,
I showed it to him on Friday night, and he was like, I might have to get me one of those.
But stock twin turbo power, which means tuning it is going to be fun.
Because he got rid of he sold his 350Z last year. And he's looking at it going like, oh, I should get that. That'd be nice.
So let's think about this. Okay, so we've mentioned the Elantra N, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Arguably one of probably the best performing front wheel drive cars next to probably the Civic Type R, right?
Probably.
And 0 to 60 in 5 seconds.
Launch control, 290 horse.
Looks insane,
two-step.
Right?
Yeah.
So
variable exhaust.
Then we have the Z.
Yeah.
The Z obviously is in a little bit of a different class there in terms of what we call it, roadster, right?
What's a rear-wheel drive, two-seater.
Yeah, two-seater, but quite a bit of horsepower, right? And
then, compared to the other options, it's 400, so it's definitely not bad.
Okay,
but,
so
you get the idea.
You have the Z, right? We have the new GR86, right? The new AE86.
Yeah, which is basically better than any other Porsche ever built.
Well,
that's what they're saying.
That's
Toyota 8.6. They're saying you should buy a Porsche instead of buying a Porsche. You should buy an 8.6.
So we're just going to pretend.
And then we have
an Elantra and
the Supra, which isn't anything new, but nobody's really been able to get their hands on one as much as you think they would.
Which car?
The Supra.
Oh, yeah. I've seen enough of them around, but I think it was definitely one of those cases where people were hyped. And then they got stuck, like their brains all got stuck on that. It's a BMW meme, and then people couldn't let it go. And I think it's tainted with that.
Well, I don't care because those Supras are running 10-second quarter miles.
Oh yeah, no, they're an awesome
pretty insane
platform. It's just underneath, people are still going to make the stupid.
And then you have what could potentially be probably the last year of the Civic Type R. Because I think they're going to hit like a 50,000.
Well, the new Integra
production
Type R.
number. Then you have the Integra Type R that we're still waiting on to figure out what the heck.
I'm with dude in
just
blue.
the Integra, not Type R, but just Integra.
I'm with the dude in blue on that, though. I don't think the Integra is going to be what people think it's going to be.
It may not.
He says he thinks it's going to be a 4-door, and I'm inclined to agree. As much as I don't want that to happen, I think the problem is it's just going to be an Integra Type R with an Acura badge and some different bodywork is what I think it's ultimately going to end up being.
It wouldn't have an Acura badge because it is an Integra.
There was 4-door Type R's.
Yeah.
There were, but they weren't offered here.
They weren't offered here. But
think of how great that'd be, though. Me with the new N, you with the Integra.
But if we're honest with ourselves, aesthetically, when people think Integra, they
Dane,
think of the 2-door.
Rolling in his Jag.
They think of that one.
Well, okay.
If you had to buy a new car, Dane, out of that list,
out of the ones
we just talked about, what would you get? The new Z?
I like the new Z a lot. I still think it shares a lot of underpinnings with the older Zs, which are ancient now, but I understand why they do that. Aesthetically, I love it. I think they've done a great job updating the styling and everything. But when you look inside the cockpit, you're like, it's familiar 370 kind of look and feel to it, but with updated gauges and stuff, which I like. And power-wise, it's already kicking the Supra's butt right out of the box, which is impressive. I still think that the Supra may be the better driving platform, but with the B&W guts underneath, I kind of wonder about reliability, even though Toyota claims they've had a hand in making sure everything is up to their standards. So
I don't know,
that's only going to be as convincing as you let it be.
Yeah.
I think it'll be pretty good. But I'm just saying that we live in a pretty good time right now where all these cars are coming out.
You know where the Z beats the Supra, though? Where? And this is for enthusiasts everywhere. Z has a manual transmission right out the gate.
Yeah, no, and that's
the Supra
where,
does not.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who literally said, I would buy a Supra, but they don't offer a manual.
No, watch.
And now, with the new GR86 coming out with a manual and stuff, you have such a great platform there. That car's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're
So
saying
it's
that
hard
there's
to-
that 0.4 of that, boring out that 2 liter and bumping it up to 2.4 made a huge difference in terms of power.
It fixed the torque. The torque dip is still there, but now the torque comes in lower in the band, so you don't feel it as much, and you're able to get going.
Dude,
faster.
I remember when
It
I
doesn't feel
drove,
gutless anymore.
I drove my friend Andy's BRZ right off the lot. He got like a Series Blue BRZ. It was white with a blue interior. It was pretty cool looking. He was the only one in town that had it. Didn't know how to drive a manual, and he's like, "Hey, can you drive this home for me?" Right? So we bought the car, and we drove it home. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, this car
You just bought a car that you don't have.
Well, no, that, but also just this car is pretty boring. I'm not going to lie, dude. I think that those cars are boring as hell.
No, the FA20, the engine, is just underwhelming.
It's
in that
super
platform.
underwhelming.
The chassis is amazing. Like the car itself is great.
Yeah.
That's
It
the
just
same
needs
reason
a
that
different
that
powertrain.
But that's also the same reason I never liked the Crosstreks.
Sure.
Like, I love that Crosstrek, but it is
Yeah.
gutless.
I've said it
So
before,
slow.
and I'll say it again.
And that
The
CVT
Crosstrek,
automatic really sucks. You have to have
I've
the
never
5-speed.
felt closer driving a modern car to driving like an 80s Loyale or something from Subaru than I have when I was driving the Crosstrek.
Yeah.
I think I was just borrowing one for an afternoon. And yeah, it feels like you're driving an 80s Subaru. It's so weird.
It's
From
slow.
the click-a-clack of the engine to the whole just experience, it's like, I think I'm driving an 80s Subaru and I just don't know it yet. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Probably
weird.
is. But it's a good car.
But it's a good
I
car.
mean,
It's
I
a great
love
car.
them and I think they're cool. And,
But gutless.
Rebecca here, she's got hers. It's all lifted and looks
Yeah.
awesome.
No, it looks dope.
But she got the 5-speed, and that's something that
helps a lot.
If you got the CVT, it was a really just a slow car.
Never
Yeah.
know when it's really
And-
going to shift.
Yeah, and so I think that was one of the same problems that the BRZ, the GT86 had in common, was that engine for sure. Same engine, and then
well, and there's
you
people
needed to
out
have
there.
something to do with it.
Yoshi, we're literally talking about all
Yeah.
of the drivers' cars.
Yeah, all
He
of
says
them.
the new 86 looks promising, saying not very many real drivers' cars left. I think there's plenty of drivers'
We
cars.
just talked about
that are,
8 of
that are-
them.
Literally, we just list out 6
And all of them are under 50,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's a big thing. Sure, there's lots of great performance cars available over $100,000 or something, but that's because those are niche vehicles. They don't expect to sell a lot of them. They don't need to, thus they're priced higher. When you get to the cheaper stuff, though, it has to be mass produced, or else it's just not going to turn.
Toyota
profit
just
for the
needs to
companies
simply do
doing
this
it.
with a Supra, right? Target top, manual trans, and throw in the Heritage spoiler as an OEM option with like a carbon fiber inner piece. Done.
Yeah.
Like, that car looks so much better with the Heritage spoiler. We had one pass us when we were in Monterey.
Yeah.
That was in white, and it sounded rowdy. But, like, target top, just imagining that.
Yeah.
That off of that, right? Banging gears, big spoiler in the back.
More
I'm
than
all
you can
about that.
afford.
And then also, Ozzy Bear says about the new STI, which is also going to be dropping soon as well. Thing is, though, can't get excited about the STI. There's been too many models.
Yeah.
It's
such
they
a
more or less
staple.
stayed the same the whole time.
It's such
too.
a staple in the Subaru line, though, and it's a great car. But
See, I knew Yoshi was going to have some criteria of what he considers a
my
driver's car, so he's talking naturally aspirated.
Oh
I
my
get it. I
gosh,
see it.
I
You want a
know.
linear power band.
Turbo
But you're a guy who
everything.
drives a turbo
The problem
diesel,
is,
so
though,
what
but
are you
gotta
talking
remember the
about?
hard part,
turbo everything.
yeah, the hard part is everything has a turbo now.
They should have turbos.
Well,
Every
yeah,
should
and
have a
everything has
turbo.
a
the way they argue is people in the 80s turbos were for power, but now turbos are for fuel economy.
No,
Yeah.
well, that's why I mean you take that turbo, the stock one, out of the car and then you just replace it with a bigger turbo,
Yeah.
right? And now what
At
do you
least the
have?
plumbing is
A
already
fast car.
The plumbing is
It's
already
literally,
there.
It's doesn't
But-
make it any easier.
but
So I
Anthony,
think what
this
Yoshi's
is-
trying to say is that the 2006 Elantra is the last of the truly great driver's cars.
It is
it
naturally
really is.
aspirated.
It is
but
naturally
probably just because it
aspirated.
was cheaper.
No,
When
they
it
didn't make
comes
a
down
turbo
to
back then, Dane.
But the trend you're seeing, though, is like formerly V8 cars are now Turbo 6s. Formerly Turbo V6 or V6 cars are now Turbo 4s. And former four-cylinder cars are now Turbo four-cylinder cars, but they're smaller displacement. You're just seeing that down the line, they're trying to make
they're
themselves
1.4,
more
so-
economical. You're getting some
1.5,
hilariously small engines.
Yeah.
I mean, even Ford has
we've
that.
got
What
a
is it?
liter of
A
Ironbird back
1 liter
there.
3-cylinder that's turbocharged? Sounds awesome. But at the same time, it's just everything's kind of downsizing, and you're seeing that. And for me, a big part of loving cars was the sound. So I get where everybody gets really sensitive about
Again, one of the
electric
great
cars and
things about
stuff.
the new N.
When it comes to electric cars, people get upset because the sound isn't there. I can't have half the fun of being a car enthusiast if I can't hear the darn thing. So I understand that, but
Well, the
it's
thing is,
frustrating.
too,
So
people
keep buying old cars.
Well, no, I mean, dude, you throw an open dump onto any turboed car, you get all the noises you could possibly want in the world.
Yeah, but not all of them are good depending on the car. The firing order makes a big difference in how car sounds too.
Arguable. But
Anyway, sorry, going down a rabbit hole, but it's
we
fun.
are going down the rabbit
We haven't
hole there.
talked cars on here in a long time. It's always been detailing stuff.
we
so
haven't done that.
finally something I can talk about.
Maker.
Yeah, no, we're there.
Yeah.
There's, I think that there's a lot coming out. I think there's a lot, a lot of options that we have ahead of us, right?
Yeah.
The hard part is like, I don't know. I think that people are. I don't know too many people going out and buying the newest of the new cars at this point. At least in my circles. I don't know about
Yeah,
you guys.
well,
No,
My
like
circle's the same as your
enthusiasts
circle.
famously rarely buy new cars because usually the enthusiasts are the ones who are like, I'll buy that in 10 years when it's good and cheap and I can, do stuff to it and I don't worry about a warranty and all those things. It's like, okay, but that's why a lot of times people complain about they're not making cars for enthusiasts, but the problem is enthusiasts aren't buying new cars generally.
Because I know Dane's thinking about. He's been sifting on a lot of new cars.
He has been.
Dane's been. It's been going through his head, right?
Turning through the
Yoshi, have you ever heard an open dump D series? It's the best
It's the
thing
most
ever.
insane thing ever. There's a
No.
reason that we had a friend that had a drag version.
That
of one,
wasn't
and
an
it was
open dump.
insane.
That was probably an exhaust leak.
No, it was definitely.
No, I'm
See,
thinking
the
about,
thing is,
thinking about what's his name's the Hulk.
Oh, you're talking
His
about
Civic.
Lee.
Yeah.
well, that
Lee's
was
Civic?
a K series.
Lee had a
but-
K series in
but
his.
That was a
thing
K series
nasty.
turbo. But the thing is when you pull up next to a D series that is an open dump, right? And you're like, this car can't possibly do anything, and then it just absolutely craps on you. That's the most like. It kills you inside when you see that happen, but it's happened. I've seen it happen multiple times, and it's
Well, like
hilarious.
Ozzy Bear here.
Yeah,
Misses
my
his
toilet's
external
throwing
wastegate, gotten a
wastegate.
couple middle fingers from that thing.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Turbo sounds are awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I also like supercharger sounds as well. I don't care. I just like any type of force
Yeah,
induction
noise.
sound.
I'm
It's
strongly
amazing.
considering like this. I'll keep the Jag for a good long while. I think though that's not moving for whatever time period. But on the truck side of things, if I get a Bronco, I want to tune it, play around with that twin turbo V6. That could be fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
see
lose
that.
my warranty in the process probably.
I don't know what I want next, but I will say that this new flock of cars coming out though.
There's
it's,
good
it's
stuff.
it's very tempting. I just don't know.
But this is kind of like not the death knell, but it's basically like right before electric cars really start to go into full gear and start taking over the market, which they already are in certain
Yeah,
categories.
we've got about probably 5 years before we start seeing a
You've got
lot of
a
electric
strong push towards
They're
electric
just trying
vehicles.
they're trying to still comply and say, hey, here's an economical turbo vehicle that is proven to be lower emissions or it's just good, right? Before they have to make the
Because I think internal combustion, as much as people freak out about it, like, oh, it's going away, I think it's still got a good, you can go for another 20 years or more potentially,
Yeah.
but not in the mainstream applications. I think you're going to see it turn more towards the enthusiast stuff, more towards those. Those are going to be the holdouts. But I think for general consumer transportation, electrification, at least hybrids, are going to be the name of the day. That's where
Yeah.
it's going. And you can't really avoid that, I don't think, because of the way,
So Alex
Everything's been
DeWar
turning.
raises a good topic here. Sucking and whining, both appropriate to car sounds, but what about an 8.1 liter grumble though?
yes.
So
Big block.
I need to get a new exhaust on the Suburban.
something to really
The one that
accentuate
Jeff
sound.
put on is great, but it's a little too quiet.
That's funny because he was so happy with it. He's just yeah, that's a good.
He likes the rumble, but it's just old.
It's
blown
old.
out.
Yeah.
That muffler's probably done for.
Yeah.
So I need to get probably going to do some Flowmasters. I'm still debating on whether I want to do a 40 series or a 50 series on it.
Do people do X pipes on a truck?
You can do whatever you want.
I mean, I know it's possible. I just don't know if that's a thing people do. If that's something
it was
people
always.
actually
I mean,
okay.
you do that or a crossover.
Because
which is just a pipe in between two pipes.
Yeah,
so
that's basically all.
You can do whatever you want on it. It just depends on if there's space for it. But
it's just usually with the V8 application, it's kind of fun.
Well, this is a true dual setup.
Yeah.
So I can literally do left and right banks, and I think your dad put it into one muffler and then back out into two.
Okay.
Is what he did, and he did a big Dynamax.
Which if you want it to sound lumpier, you keep them separated. But if you want that,
so what I'm gonna do, I'm thinking
smoother sound, you go.
Flowmaster has that new FX series, which sounds similar to the 40 series, but much cheaper.
Okay.
And they're smaller. They're
I was
inline.
Why are they cheaper?
I don't know, but they're inline compared to the bigger chambered muffler.
Oh, gotcha.
And then maybe a big megaphone style tip on the back, like a baloney tube, as they call them.
Oh, I've seen some that are literally the size of like a cooking pot.
My hands in quite a bit of baloney tube.
Slash cut baloney tube.
Well,
yeah,
on each side, because that gives it the big sound.
Yeah.
You know, it's a tapered, so it goes from a 4 to a 5 with a slant cut.
The mistake a lot of people make is they do the giant tip, but they don't do anything before that.
Right.
So you end up with the crappy sound amplified. What you want is a good sound, and then you want to
the baloney
emit
tubes
that
themselves do a great job
volume.
of resonating sound.
Yeah.
Or maybe I go like Anthony's motorcycle route and I get me some super traps.
Ooh.
With the diffusers on the end. No, just kidding.
What did I do?
Now that would be funky.
Like your muffler on your BMW.
Oh,
with
little
the
baffles.
Baffles on it.
Yeah, I remember the baffles,
But no, I was thinking like some FX and then do that. And just run a 3 or 5 or 4-inch pipe through the whole thing. But we'll see. We'll figure it out. No, I don't have headers on that thing. You can buy 8.1 headers. You can even buy a supercharger for the 8.1. If I want to dump 15 grand into that engine, I can, and I'll put out 800 horse and 1,200 foot-pounds of torque.
Heck yeah, brother.
But that's a lot of money for that Suburban. So, G. Davis, that is the Express Cafe Dane Special Edition shirt. And this I got from our East Coast Adventure friends.
Yes.
Great town of Saugerties, New York. Found it on a website, so I bought it, and it is a great shirt.
And they're probably so confused. Why is a guy from Idaho?
I really like this shirt, and
it's nice.
The company that made it, I bought like 4 more shirts on them.
Really?
So, yeah.
Well, Saugerties is a very cool little town.
Very cool little town. So, anyway, weekends.
Yes.
I'll go first.
Right.
Have at it. I didn't have much of one.
Friday night, my sister came into town, so she's in town from Boston, so we had a little family get-together. Sevi.
Oh, that's your favorite one.
Yes.
Yeah, she's worked.
He looks at the camera and he's like, for those of you watching.
Sevi's the one that's worked really hard, right, to pretty much get where she's at.
Yep.
You're just making it more awkward
great
for her.
person.
Wonderful.
We've heard funny stories. It seems like Sevi is she's very fun, funny.
She is. She's
crazy.
her own character. Yeah. My daughter Hadley reminds me a lot of her, which maybe that's what drives me so nuts. That worries me. So that's one of the things to look forward to, boys, when you have children, is your children, even though they're 50% you and 50% your wife, may actually take on a number of the traits of either of your siblings on either side that you may either love or you may either hate.
The only person I'm afraid of is my sister Alex. She's pretty well.
Just so you know, there's a good possibility.
Maybe I'll
that
have
happening.
But my brother, I'm like my brother, my other sister, I'm like everybody else is really tame. Sister Alex is kind of crazy. So
the point is, just be ready. And I thought, this will be. My sister lives across the country. There's no way that could rub off on her. Oh nope, it's through osmosis. It's in the genes.
Turns out it's genetic.
It's a genetic code. But. They're both, Sevi's awesome. Her and her husband, Chris, they live in Boston. He's a musician. His band's called Chris Hirsch and the Moon Raiders. If you guys ever want to listen to it, it's kind of a kind of folk, kind of rockabilly, bluegrass kind of style. Fun stuff. So the two of them live in Boston. She teaches eccentrics. She's an eccentrics coach. Basically, she teaches stretching. So, any shirts from your 5-star hotel in Saugerties? We didn't stay in Saugerties. Gee, I wish we did. Gosh, that would have been lovely. But the Partition Bar is where we stayed. Had an enjoyable lunch there.
I want to go back.
But so she was in town, so we had a little get together. My stepmom made tacos. I took the kids over. We went and just hung out. My mom was there. My dad was there. My stepmom was there. My sisters. Everybody was there. Kids, all the grandkids running around. So it was fun to watch, just kind of hang out. We just talked and BS'd. Then Saturday morning, I had to go pick up a car. So Saturday, I detailed a little Subaru for a customer of mine that I've had for, almost 15 years. I detail his car every 2 years or so. And he had just gotten back from Monterey. And he wanted to tell me all about it. And I said, I was there too. And he goes, what? You were? I didn't. And he's a retired lawyer. And he goes, I went, and he was like, I was at the Mecum auction at the fairgrounds, and then I went to, and I was like, I was at the Jet Center, and then we were at the Quail, and he's like, you were at the Quail?
Mecum was right around the corner.
Yeah, he was like, I was going to go to the Quail, but I couldn't. My wife was going to kill me if I bought a ticket for it, for the price. And I was like, nah, I totally get it. He's like, you were there? Did you get to see the Lotuses? And I was like, I did. I was there for it. We wiped them down. And he's like, what? I didn't know that. Like, he's one of those guys that just assumed, oh, you're here to clean my car, even though he's been a customer for 15 years.
Car janitor.
So then I was showing him pictures and stuff, and he was like, I never knew there was so much to detailing. I didn't even think of it as another industry, or that you guys are doing this with your towels, or doing this with products, or any of that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's what we do. And so it was fun, but I sent Glenn some pictures. So here's his little WRX.
Yeah.
But before this, he used to have an S2000, a little white S2000
he should have kept it.
I felt he should have kept that one too.
As I say, the value on one of those has appreciated greatly.
Yeah. So, but this is just a pretty bone stock WRX. But he loves it. He likes driving it. It only had about, I think it's probably 10 years old, and it's only got about 35,000 miles on it. It's low mileage.
Okay,
he's about 70. He's about 70 years old.
To the right high school kid, that's definitely worth the.
Oh, that
car's
10 years old or so.
It can't be 10 years old because 10 years ago.
Yeah, no, that would have been 2011.
How old is that?
So
that
one came out in 2017,
15, 16.
It's 15, 16. Okay, so 7 years, but still
that's
30,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
On a 7-year-old car.
Are you sure? Because in 2008 they made the ugly version of the WRX. All the way till 2011.
That's the peanut eye.
I didn't look and see what the model year is, but I know he's had that for
the narrow body.
For what feels like
WRX to buy.
He's probably had that 7-8 years. So
2015. Okay,
2015. So So there you go, almost 7 years old. So. Because I remember he got rid of the S2000, which I was kind of bummed about, because that thing had 25,000 miles on it, and he owned that for almost
in white.
Dang. Yeah, with the red interior.
That is a car. If you have one right now,
red interior. That was a beautiful car.
If you have one right now, you hold on to that.
So anyway, worked on his car. Just did a quick light enhancement. Inside and outside. His dog had thrown up on the seat. He tried his best to clean it up a year ago. So I got in there with the steam and cleaned everything.
And
then polished it all up. And he's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe the white is so shiny. He was very excited about it. So we hung out, chatted for a bit, but I had his car from Saturday until Sunday and got it all detailed out, looking sharp. Saturday night, we didn't do much. There was a storm that came in late, which was kind of cool. It cooled off quite a bit. Augie and I fired up the forge. Did a little forging, hit a little bit of steel, hammered a bit. It got too windy, and then the thunder and lightning started happening. And Aug's like, I didn't want to forge with the thunder going on. And
those snuck up, but they went by so fast.
They went by fast.
It was just like an isolated cell, just like, hey, stop. Bah, 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 bah. On my way.
Dirty rain.
That's it. And then dropped dirty rain all over everything.
Yeah. Oh, the dirtiest rain.
Then Sunday, just got up, finished that car. Did a one-step with Uno Protect on it, wiped it down with Beadmaker, called it. It was finished, took it up to his place, dropped it off.
Uno Beadmaker combo.
It's a great combo. So came back up, came back to my house, pulled Carly's car in, emptied all the kids' stuff out of it, gave it a quick vacuum. It didn't go too heavy. I could have brought out my air and blown all the junk out of the carpet. I just did a light vacuum, grabbed the steamer and some interior cleaner, wiped down everything on the inside. Just because first day of school, I had wiped it down last weekend prior to the first day of school. Kids getting in. I know that my kids don't wash their hands that much. Yeah. And I just to be safe, it's something that I think a lot of people should think about, especially with school starting, is if you can, if you're transporting your children, if you're taking your kids or your wife is taking your kids to school, grab some Express interior cleaner or even maybe some G-Technic Tri-Clean with the antimicrobial. Give it a spritz and wipe down all the touch points. Get all those things clean just to make sure that, the kids aren't bringing something home or they didn't touch something. And if you can, even every night. I told Carly I want to try and start keeping up on her car again. Kind of like what we did at the beginning of the pandemic, because here in Idaho, we're seeing stories of a lot of kids that are getting diagnosed, that not kids, but people that are getting COVID that are vaccinated. Mm-hmm. And it is getting through. And they're like... Augie's school nurse, his teacher, the nurse, like her daughter got COVID, and she's like 16, and they were going to get her first vaccine shot that day, and she tested positive for COVID, and so the nurse is out. Augie's school nurse is out till she gets a negative test. So, it's good to be aware and ready. So, cleaned Carly's car, got it all cleaned up, and then took the kids for a little break because my mom was coming over. Yeah, because she wanted me to do the same thing. Get the interior of her car cleaned up and ready to go just for the school year. She hadn't cleaned her car all summer. She's been washing it, but she hadn't cleaned the inside. So before I got ready on hers, took the kids to the bike park. Og and Hadley and the neighbor girl wanted to go ride their bikes, do some jumps, do some tricks. So sent a little video over. We went to the Catherine Albert. So that's the neighbor girl. And then there's Hadley in the pink helmet and Augie in the blue helmet in the back. Right there on the pump track. Is that
all cemented?
Yeah.
That's kind of dangerous.
It's a pump track. If you see the kid there behind that's just working the actual angles of the track. Course. And my kids are just kind of pedaling slowly and cruising around the bowls. They were having a good time. But yeah, this kid's flying.
It's like a skate park meets a mountain bike track.
Yeah, well, a pump track, you just use your body. So you shouldn't have to pedal.
Because this is traditionally what I'm used to with a bike
and then they
park.
Went on, and this they loved because
the sprinkler.
Oh, they loved it because the sprinkler was going. They were so stoked. So there's Augie and Hadley getting ready to roll.
Oh my God, is that a jump right there?
Yeah, those are all jumps.
That looks sick.
That looks extremely dangerous.
Shoot, it's in slow motion. Dang it, I didn't realize that was in slow-mo for all
going for a jump here? Is that it?
No, he's just slowly pedaling.
Oh, okay.
So Levi, what do you say me and you take a couple of these bikes, the tandem off one of those jumps?
Well, those big flaps you saw were banks, so you go up and
jump
roll,
on that. Dane's
where's this bike park at?
It's so right on Military and Reserve. So you just it's right by old Fort Boise back there across from the.
Alternatively, we have a bike park right over here.
Yeah, there's the Eagle Bike Park up here, and they've got a pump track as well.
No, I died on the Eagle Bike Park.
So,
I don't know. You look fine to me.
Nate and I used to ride the bike park quite a bit, but they just built this one over here by me, which
I hit one of those.
That looks nice though.
It's fun.
Looks fun.
When I was there, I hit one of those jumps back in the day at a Trek, right? I was taking over that bike park. I hit it was basically one of those jumps you don't know it's a jump.
Yeah.
Oh.
But then there's if there's nothing.
The ground disappears below you.
And
you're just. I'm airborne now.
You had a high travel suspension, 10 inches, 12 inches of travel.
I didn't realize that, and
did you have that?
I hit front wheel first. Right?
Oh, did you bend it?
And then flew over the handlebars. Then flew down the mountain.
Yeah.
And then the bike fell on top of me.
Was it kind of like in a hot rod when he falls down there?
Yeah, man. It sucked. And I was like, they've made this like normal people. They made this for normal people. People get hurt
and then the
on
next
this.
thing you know, Nate's behind you, and he's next day Nate
just
jumps
mobbing.
it like nothing.
Yeah.
He's like, bro, you gotta have a V10.
I need a better
Santa
bike
Cruz
for that.
V10 is what you need.
Yeah, probably.
No, that's what. So we used to go up to Tamarack and go ride.
Yeah.
And there's one spot where if you didn't make the turn, it launched you off, and it was a big jump. And all of us saw it, and one of our guys was riding a full downhill bike, a Santa Cruz V10.
So he was just hauling.
Massive travel. I mean, it's basic. I mean, Dane, those things are insane. If you've ever ridden a full downhill bike,
mine are like maybe 4 inches of travel. This is way more than that.
These things just you want to mob them. So one of our guys hit that and was like, he nailed it. It was perfect. And then another dude was riding one of our friends' like trial bikes, which is 3 inches of travel in the front.
That's more like
and
what
a
I'm used to,
hardtail,
yeah.
but a short frame, stubby frame, built to like literally just do pump track stuff.
Endo real easy.
Just designed to do that pump track.
Oh, no.
He rode that whole thing on that weekend. Instead of renting a bike, he rode that. He took that and jumped it with that bike and stayed on his feet, stayed on his wheels. And at the end, all of us were like, we watched him do it. We were all like, oh, this is where we watch him die.
I just want to know, what shape was the seat? Just
Bike
knowing
was totally
that
fine.
landing?
Nothing happened to it.
What?
It was perfect. We took it that was when I worked at the bike shop. We took it to the bike shop that next week.
I'm just wondering, is it like this narrow?
Yeah,
Because
the
I
guy
can just
that
see
loaned
that.
it to him, like he fully went through the whole thing, inspecting it, checked the wheel trues, everything. And he was like, I don't know how. He literally looked at me. He's like, I don't know how you survived on this.
Yeah,
thing.
no,
I can't
what I'm
believe
saying
you
is
made
I don't expect damage to the bike. I'm expecting damage to his undercarriage.
it. No, he was fine. So anyway, took the kids there. Then my mom came by, cleaned her car, got it all ready.
Right.
My upstairs toilet was leaking.
Oh, no.
So I had to replace it. Well, leaking, it was running. It wasn't leaking, it was running. So had to do a little diagnostics.
Like it was overfilling?
Kind of overfilling a little bit. And so I lowered the float so that the water
Yeah, the
level
valve got
was a
stuck
little,
open or something.
it wasn't going. And then the flap, that when you flush, the flap wasn't fully sealing. So
Okay.
bought a new flap, put all that on, got
Yeah,
it
that
done.
stuff gets old. You should fix it.
Got it to stop running, which was sweet. And then mowed the lawn. Got the lawn all mowed. The front yard looking
Thanks,
great. The back of Dane, you should have done that. You should have. The backyard, my backyard looks like a war zone.
Takes one to know.
I have a pool that is, my Dane, I will say your yard.
Right now it's probably cleaner
yours
than
is
your
all
yard.
dead. Mine's alive.
Oh, okay.
And looks like a war zone. So, I need to spend some time this week. I think it just got too hot, and I just didn't want to be out there.
Now,
so I've just kind of
fortunately,
left
things are
it.
cooling off a little. So
Yeah, it's just I've got a lot of work I got to redo and get back onto to try and make sure everything's good for winter.
fair.
But yeah, but other than that, simple, easy weekend. Didn't do a lot of crazy stuff. We watched Suicide Squad Saturday. Carly and I did the new one.
I like that
Actually,
one a
really
lot
funny.
better.
A
It's
lot.
fun.
It's not great, but it's a lot better than the first one and a lot funnier.
It's
and
way more
sillier.
fun
Like
to
they did a
watch.
good. Yeah, they did a good job with it.
It's also horribly gory, so maybe don't show it to your kids.
Yeah, but Carly and I watched it and totally enjoyed it. Friday night watched the new Ted Lasso. Enjoyed that. And
that episode felt like it got off to a weird start, and then I was like, oh no, the rest of this I enjoyed.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think it's because it came off of the Christmas episode, which didn't make sense as to why they needed to have a Christmas episode.
no, yeah, it was just like, hold on, what time of the year is it?
Yeah.
You guys are making it okay.
But UK shows,
Yeah,
they love their Christmas episodes.
they really do.
So
Even more than American shows, which is
Yeah.
strange.
they really do that. So anyway, that was my weekend.
Heck yeah.
All right. Well, I didn't really have much of a weekend other than spending my time here, so I'm going to pass it off to Anthony. Go ahead, take it to the table.
Did anything else happen? You did.
I
Did you go
mean,
to Express
of
Cafe?
course,
Did
you
you
know
change some
I
light
had
bulbs?
to do it to him. I had to go to Express Cafe.
Oh yeah.
I got my pecan waffle
And you
and my
didn't do
breakfast
anything else.
sandwich.
You didn't go to like a car show or anything.
Well, okay.
Oh, you
I did go to
Car
I
Show.
did go to Cars and Coffee on Saturday
Yeah.
morning.
My friend Adam Patali invited me to Cars and Coffee on Saturday.
Oh,
Was he there?
He was there,
I didn't
and he
see
invited
him.
me. He invited me personally.
Wow.
Invited me.
That's so funny.
I'm wondering
He
if
was
it
like,
was
"Hey,
the same Cars
buddy,
and
Levi,
Coffee.
what are you doing this morning? Want to go to Cars
'Cause-
and Coffee?" And I was like, "Oh man, I'm picking up a car up in the Boise Hills right now. What's up?" And I was like, "That sounds great. I'd love to another time, maybe next month." And he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, no worries. Cool. Just want to know if you want to join me."
Well, the thing about Cars and Coffee here in town is ever since that incident, it's pretty much been split off a bunch of different
Yeah.
ways. And like
There's
some
a-
different
yeah,
people
I
are
mean,
trying to
there's-
take the mantle. For a while there, I remember after the thing happened, basically, you had these other people try and do it. They were like a small dealership or something, and they were trying to like keep it going. And like, points to them for trying, but they were like charging at the door for you to go in. I'm like, that's not Cars and Coffee.
Yeah.
That's a car show at that point, which is different. It takes away some of the fun of people just showing up and not knowing what's going
Yeah.
to be there. So this new one is put on by Track Shark locally, and he's trying it like very spaced out. Like he had one like a month ago, and then he tried one this weekend. I was like, okay, I missed the first one, but I'm just going to go see what's there. And this one felt much more down to earth, like back like the earlier Cars and Coffee, back where
Yeah.
it wasn't very organized in an obvious way, but it was just kind of like a segmented part of the parking lot. interesting, cool car show up. It reminded me more of like when we used to be in Meridian and do that.
And
like,
all you got to do is
feel.
go to YouTube and type in Boise Cars and Coffee.
To see what
That's
I'm
all you need to
talking
do.
about. Yeah.
Boise Cars and Coffee.
No matter where you are in the country, you will find
you'll see what happened.
a video of what happened. Yeah.
Our towels were used
It made news.
in emergency situations.
Yes.
No, but Adam
Sea
did
creatures
say,
used and
he
minks
goes,
used.
I said later on, about a half hour, I said, hey, I just noticed in the stories, Dane's there at Cars and Coffee, Jeff's son. And he's like, oh, he is? Is he just down here wandering around, or did he bring something down? And I said, his Jag is down there.
Yeah.
And he goes, you mean the greenish purple one? And I said, yep. And he goes, dude, I looked at that thing. That thing's wicked. I said, 650 horsepower, supercharged. And he's like, yeah, no, I saw it when it pulled in and backed. I didn't know that was Dane.
No, that's funny.
So, yeah,
I didn't know he was there.
Yeah.
I must have walked right past him.
That's all
Because
right.
I did. I was that guy.
You weren't wearing Rag Company gear. You were fully unlimited.
Well, I was unlimited for the day.
Okay.
So I went in and I did that parade lap thing that a douchey guy would do, because I'm like, I haven't been to one of these in so long. I
and the
finally
Jag
got a
is
car
perfect for that.
I've got a car that I'm like proud of.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drive it around. I'm gonna show it off a little bit. I drove right in front of all those exotics, and to my amazement, people actually turned and looked, which I'm not that much of an attention.
But now
seeker,
you're an
but
exotic, so you can.
Now I'm like, okay, this isn't exotic like those R8s and Huracans are, but this is at least something. So, okay, I drive by, people are looking, and they thought it was cool. So I was like, all right, some validation is nice. It doesn't mean it controls my life, but it's just nice to, get a little recognition. So
Yeah.
you're like, yeah. And I suddenly had a bunch more followers on Instagram because of my little side window, because if you're tacky, that's what you do. And I was like, it worked. So
Love it.
that was kind of fun. But yeah, no, that's how I spent my morning. I went over and said hi to Brett, who was there. He had his cars wrapped and everything. Brett, as usual, wonderful. So Scott basically looked it up. So if you type in Boys and Cars and Coffee and you look at news reports from about 2017, was it?
Yeah.
You'll find it.
Yeah.
The mystery is probably more just, you can go check it out. There's lots of videos out there. Anyway, that was that. So Cars and Coffee kind of died for a little bit and then was rejuvenated in multiple ways. And now it seems like it's come back in more of its original form, which is lower key, just kind of a hangout. So I like that. The vibe was better there this time for sure. It didn't feel like people were putting on airs or snooty or anything. So it was nice. Very cool. But yeah, that was literally the extent of my weekend. Nothing else happened. It was pretty dead. But yeah, I just figured I'd give that a shot. So now, Anthony, tell us about your weekend.
I'm sure you guys are expecting some type of great story or something.
You always have a great
What do you
story.
got going
What
on?
are you talking about?
How'd it go? How was the
If
weekend?
that fails, we'll just talk Heap Car Challenge. We got
All I
options.
remember is you did a lot of organizing for some reason.
Yeah,
you had a
it's
lot
just
of
some
organization things that needed done.
But no, so my Friday night started. Went to go see Free Guy.
Oh,
Friday night, right?
Yeah.
It's the new Ryan Reynolds movie, right? I went to the movie theater.
Free Guy.
The movie theater was actually packed, which is pretty crazy. It's
Jeez,
oh
G.
my gosh, G Davis. Yeah.
No.
So
Continue.
money orders, not food stamps. Money orders.
clear my throat here.
Asking the real questions, Kirby.
Good. Anyways, so
Went to the movie.
Yes.
Well, first off, I will say that Friday morning, right? This is actually what ended up happening. My Heap Car, right? I took my Heap Car home for the weekend, right? Wanted to take it home to get some more stuff done, right? I ran into my truck with my cheap car.
Were you texting while you were doing
Hold
this?
on.
So I know you're probably thinking, how do you
good
run
driver.
how
How
do you
did
run
you-
into your car with the other car? So what basically happened was I was leaving in the morning.
It was
right?
parked, right?
Mm-hmm.
You hit a parked car.
I hit a parked car. I was
So
leaving.
you were texting.
No, I hadn't had coffee that morning, right? I was leaving.
So you were
And I
asleep?
was trying to cut in around my truck tire, and I ended up hitting my KO2s on my truck because it was kind of
beautiful
angled
KO2s.
outward.
Yeah.
Did you
And-
just bonk it, or was it like a sustained?
No, I got
next to it the whole
stuck
way?
on the truck.
Oh.
So I was trying to basically, if the truck was parallel, I was moving the car around, and then it got caught, and then I couldn't go forward or backwards. So I, of course, was like, "Oh my God, I have ruined something. Right? I've ruined my cheap car." Right?
Yeah.
I get out and look around. To my surprise, nothing crazy. So instead of trying to move the car, I end up just moving the truck backwards, right?
Okay.
To release it off
tension
of
and pressure.
to release it off of that. So on my door moldings, right, I had a whole area of rubber transfer, right? I was like, oh my God, what's under this rubber transfer, right?
The ones you had just
spray painted.
fixed.
Spray painted with 2K clear.
Yeah.
So that's when I came into work on Friday morning, kind of in a fuss.
You were in a panic. It
was in a
like
panic.
you had a bee in your bonnet.
So, but that was the only thing that the tire hit. It was literally the luckiest thing I've ever happened.
I mean, that's
right?
what they are there for. They're like
And
New York City traffic protectors.
what was amazing is everybody's like, "What are you gonna do? You gonna like polish it off?" I grabbed Ulex, literally wiped the tire transfer right off.
Oh, just straight off.
No
Didn't
damage.
take anything else.
Nothing.
I did see a crease from where your tire dented the panel.
No, I was already there.
Well, Ulex isn't going to do anything about that.
No, the creases. That was funny because there was already a crease there on that
Oh,
panel.
good. Okay, good.
And so it didn't do anything. All it did was just touch the door molding. So Ulex gets off tire transfer without any effort at all whatsoever. And then all I had to do was just buff it out.
Yeah.
I just took a polisher and just buffed it out and recoated that area. Good to go. So then Friday night, I went to go see the movie. Good movie. I would say forgettable in the sense that,
That's what you said. You said, I enjoyed it, but as soon as I left, I kind of forgot what I saw.
Well, it's one of those where you're entertained while it's happening, and then the next day you'll be like, oh, I forgot I saw that movie.
Yeah, it's like a baby rattle.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't anything that really stuck with me that much. There's like a couple scenes, but worth seeing if you want to be entertained. You know, if you want to go.
Ryan Reynolds is obviously supremely likable. So
it was pretty funny. End up laying down some caulk. Right, I was caulking hard all weekend.
Yeah.
So honestly, man, I think I caulk harder than anybody. I think in this building.
You use a lot of white caulk on that?
Yeah. So the thing is I can lay down a bead of caulk like a professional. And
Well, you've got enough experience now handling that too.
I've caulked so much around my house.
Yeah.
I've caulked on my windows. I've caulked on my doors. And now I'm caulking all over.
all I'm
my
saying is
shiplap.
don't get cocky while caulking.
Well,
So you've been caulking the shiplap.
Yep, I've been caulking all the shiplap, right?
Okay.
So learning some new skills, right?
Yeah.
call him
Josh
Macaulay
actually
Culkin.
taught me something very, very interesting.
Taught you how to handle the caulk.
I handle my own caulk.
Okay.
I've been handling my own caulk for over a year now. And so how this works
If you're lonely, just tell someone.
So on a painted wall that you don't plan on repainting, you lay down a line of blue tape right along that edge, right?
Yeah.
Because that caulk can transfer over to that paint, right?
Right.
So laying that tape line there, right, like a nice hard tape line, and then running that bead there, then using your finger, so much easier for little to no cleanup, right? And so I didn't know that, right? I didn't know about the tape
Extra
strip.
tape for
I've always
cleanup.
just been super good with my finger, right? And just laying that caulk down. And so, with that said, I caulked most of my shiplap, caulked some new built-in shelving and things like that.
Lovely.
So now it's just time for paint next, right? Filled some nail holes and stuff like that. So I did that kind of in between when I got home and all of that. And then Saturday started the morning off with that. And then I really wanted to go. It was actually Friday. Was it before the movie? No. So sorry. So then it was. That's what it was. It was Saturday. I went out, just ran a bunch of errands. I wanted to snap some pictures of my car, my cheap car. So I kind of did that. Got some cool pictures, and ended up taking it to a couple different locations just because I want some variety. Being able to see my finished project or my close to finished project is just a proud moment for me. And I'm trying to think on the rest of Saturday, it was pretty chill. I basically just worked on some of my own stuff around the house. And nothing too crazy to report. Then it was and then actually went to my old house. So my renters moved out of my old house.
Okay. Oh, so now you got an empty house?
Got an empty house right now. So renters moved out, right? And this is what I feel really bad about. Had a new batch of renters, right, who signed a lease. They signed a lease, and then said, all right, we're so sorry, because they were selling their house in Kuna. They're Idahoans. I've been lived their entire life. They were going to sell their house in Kuna, buy into a new house, but their new house wasn't going to be done for several, for months and months and months. So they needed to rent our house in the meantime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They signed the lease, got all the paperwork done. This was about a week ago. They said, we regret doing that because we don't want to sell our house. We actually like our house. We don't want to buy a new house. And we're sorry for signing that lease. So we're like, okay, but you just gave us like a ton of money.
They're
right?
legally on the hook. I mean, if you're a nice person, you let it back, but also like they signed it.
Well, the problem is we had already done all the cleaning and we already paid.
The house is ready to go.
And the house is ready to go. We already paid, these kids to come and do this. Katie basically used some kids that work at her house, work at her company that do the details before new homes are bought, right?
Yeah.
So these guys come in and they patch everything up, they clean everything up, they do everything, and we already had to pay them.
So you return the money minus that fee as an inconvenience fee and say, we understand, we're sorry.
Correct.
And
so
be.
That's what we ended up.
Yeah.
So that's what we ended up doing.
That's fair for everyone.
So that's what we ended up doing, and then we gave them back like their pet deposit and all sorts of stuff. But we still ended up making a little bit out of it to give us enough time to find another renter.
Sure.
So if anybody needs to rent a house, a nice, very nice one, let me know, because it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Seriously. The best thing was...
I'm afraid to ask what rent a month is around there.
Pretty
now.
expensive, Dane.
Yeah.
But just...
You live in a fancy, rich neighborhood?
It is, yes.
Oh.
It's right next to Roaring Springs. So
Off the freeway?
On the freeway, yeah.
Near
Perfect
the
for
10-mile
people-
exit?
No, near the Linder exit.
Is that what that's called?
Mm-hmm.
Thought it was the 10-mile.
No, Linder.
Technically, it's a 10-mile exit.
Pretty
as far
much
as I
Nampa
remember,
as
though.
far as I
No,
recall.
they're building the Linder overpass.
Yeah,
That's
Linder one doesn't cross over yet, but 10 mile does.
It will.
10-mile
Yeah.
cross. It's right down the street from that house, right?
Too far up.
It's in Nampa.
It's too far that
So
way.
that's farmland.
It's technically closer to the Meridian exit.
Oh, okay.
Technically.
You're technically right. It is the 10 mile thing.
But
it's out by
anyway,
Camping World.
So, continuing on from there, right? This, so it's done. It looks great. I think probably the best thing I've ever seen was
That's a smart idea.
just walking in there and being like, "Holy crap! It doesn't even look like they lived inside the house."
Yeah.
they left it better than we left it.
Nice.
Oh,
Which
that's
was
excellent.
which
That's
was
the
just
kind of people you
dude.
want.
I was so pumped. I was so grateful, and I said, "Katie, we need to find another family like this, right? Because we were going to sell the house a couple months ago. Prices have dipped."
Yeah.
Actually, quite a bit
yeah,
around
no,
here.
I noticed that.
So if anybody's looking to buy, now's probably the time to buy, because basically everything dropped 30 to 40,000, and then some, right? And there's actually houses available now, which is pretty cool in terms of the market and the inventory.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of rentals available too, because for 2 months there was nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally nothing. I think 3 months there was nothing, but prices have dropped. So if you're going to buy, probably buy right now. If you're going to rent, probably now's the time
I
to
can't
rent right
imagine
now.
it's going to stay down for long.
I don't think so, but
Not around here.
but they have
anyway.
dipped quite a bit, and so just saying, if you're thinking about it. So Chris Woolman, if you're listening, right?
Yeah, I was going to say Chris.
Chris Woolman's been moved
Chris,
up here for some time
this isn't a suggestion.
from,
This is a request.
Rennie's team. But so we did that, and then Sunday morning, I went and ran a bunch of more errands, knocked out, mowing, all that kind of stuff. My grass finally came back, right?
Very
I know
nice.
that doesn't
Very
matter
nice.
to anybody except for myself, but I was
Well,
pretty
good for
excited.
you.
I'm proud of you for getting that grass back.
Pretty excited about it. And the Evo is still scratched up from the cat,
Yep.
just
Well,
haunting me every time I look at it.
for viewers here, I will let them in on a little something, just as a teaser for your episode coming up this week. Mm-hmm. You do see the cat in the video.
You do.
The cat came and greeted us while we were trying to shoot Anthony's video.
Very nice.
So you will get to meet the cat.
I've met the cat. It's a nice cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cute cat.
Then I took it around the corner and it never came back. I'm not saying. I just, I know
Well,
it didn't come back.
Came back and it scratched up his car.
Well, it has, because it has eight lives left,
Yeah.
right? So
It's got a few left.
it'll keep coming back. But so took the dogs out for a walk. Just tried to catch up around things around the house, and then I decided to knock out all 3 cars and wash 3 cars. So both my project car, my red Civic, and then Katie's car, right? Because Katie's car, it's been over almost 2 months since I've washed it.
Yeah.
I feel horrible, but it was.
Did you
pretty-
clean the
it was pretty
inside
bad.
up too?
No, I didn't have time.
Okay.
So, but I knocked out the other 2 cars. We had that dirty rain on us. But what's so funny though, right? So this is a point I want to talk about actual detailing here. People are gonna be like, "What the heck? You're gonna talk about detailing?"
Yeah.
I coated my project car last week with the help of Juan, right? And I coated it in G-Technics Exo, an extremely hydrophobic surface coating. Yeah. Would you all agree?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Some of the best hydrophobic properties out there, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
People see that combination of Exo on CSL or even Exo on its own. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, it's a great look.
What's funny is that when I went to go wash that car on Sunday after all that dirty rain, do you know what had no hydrophobic properties?
Exo,
right?
What?
Now, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm saying this for all the people that don't understand how surface tension works and contamination works to prevent to prevent the car to do its job, right? Yeah. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that there was so much buildup in that rain. There was so much dirt and contamination,
ton of minerals,
right, and a ton of stuff that landed on that car. That when I went to go initially start spraying things off, my car had no hydrophobic properties.
It was sticky too.
Very sticky.
The dirt that landed in that, it was very sticky. Like my car, I drove it to work this morning. I didn't drive it all. Well, I drove it once this weekend, but it sat up in the Boise Hills for that storm. So when I got in it to drive it back home, I had all that dirt and grime on the window. I hit my wiper blades, hit it with the Rain-X, sprayed that on there. Brand new wiper blades, right? Hit it, soaked the window, tried to get it clean. Didn't smear it, cleaned it, but where all the raindrops hit had stayed. There's still minerals on the glass that I have to get off. Yeah. And the same was with the Suburban. Suburban was the same way.
Imagine my horror looking at my gigantic black truck that I can't park undercover. It has to sit out in the driveway.
Very weird, right?
There's something in it. But what I'm trying to say is that I washed the white Civic, right? Yeah. And the initial spray on everything, there was no hydrophobic properties, right? I didn't get my hydrophobic properties back until after I physically washed the car with my mitt or with my pad.
Yeah, you had to remove all the dirt and grime.
What soap did you use?
GSF.
Okay.
Right. And then after everything was done, I went to go spray the car. Bam, hydrophobic properties are back. So I guess what my lesson is, what I'm trying to say by this, is that so many people get hung up on
dirty
those first couple washes while their car is dirty after some
my
protection
coating
is applied,
failed, or
saying that their coating has failed, or their bead maker
Insert
failed,
sealant here failed,
whatever it is.
Have you tried cleaning it first?
Yeah, like you need to wipe that car down to get rid of all that contamination first. And then see where the hydrophobic properties are, right? You also need to rinse all that soap off, right? Because that soap could be accumulating. It's just, I see so many people complain about this and be like, wow, dirty car, no hydrophobic properties. I'm like, dude, that car's filthy. You got to clean all that crap off first. Yeah. And then if you're saying, okay, well, maybe, Anthony, it was just that car. Well, it was the same thing with the red Civic that was also outside, right? So it was both of them.
Shelby here.
Yeah, Shelby, she's right.
Yeah.
Well, Shelby, how do you think I felt? I washed the silver car on Friday after work. Yeah. I ran it through a car wash. And on Saturday morning, I washed the Suburban and got it all done because it hadn't been washed in a couple weeks. Like 3 weeks.
And then that
Sunday, all my cars are dirty again.
Well, because my stuff hadn't been washed since McCall.
Yeah.
Right? Since we were not McCall, but since we were at the
Monterey.
Yeah. But anyway, so what I'm trying to say is that don't get hung up on that initial spray after a coating or an application of assuming something has failed until you've wiped down the car. And then even after that, make sure you're rinsing that soap completely, right? And then feel the paint too. Does the paint feel contaminated? Do you feel like maybe that contamination got past that sealant, got past that coating to where it's beyond, it's gonna halt those hydrophobic abilities for a while.
I did this for a customer, an older guy, my buddy Rudy, stops by all the time. I coated his truck when he bought a new Frontier, coated it in CSL, and I think we did XO on top. And he was washing it, and he was like, "I just can't get it washed. I can't get it clean." And I said, "Well, bring it over." And I look at it because I was like, "Let me look at the coating." And I go, "So how are you washing it?" And he goes, "Well, I take my pressure washer and I rinse it down. Then I grab a towel and I dry it." And I said,
"You're missing a step."
"Well, Rudy, this truck's pretty dirty. Like I sprayed a panel with mine and I showed him and I was like, see where up here on top you've got hydrophobics, but then on the side you don't, here in this line." Took some soap, scrubbed the side, got it all washed up, rinsed it off. All the hydrophobics were back. Same thing. Yeah. And he's like, oh. And I said, you're leaving dirt on the surface. You've got to get that dirt off. So you got to scrub that soap or use O&R and a towel, because he's got O&R and towels. And he's like, oh, yeah, I've seen the videos.
Unless you're using a decon foam or something.
Videos where people just spray a coated car and dry it. And I said, you got to get the dirt off.
Well, his mistake is he's watching my videos.
It's easy when it's clean, right? Like if the car's clean, you've maybe pulled it in your garage, you washed it, you put it in your garage, you bring it out, you hit it with the hose again. Of course you're going to have that. Yeah. But not when you take it up in the mountains and you have your trailer hooked to it and you're driving and you're doing all this stuff and you got bugs and dust and dirt and you ran up to the dump. Just hitting it with the pressure washer is not going to do it.
Yeah. So that's just something that kind of like a quick lesson. I just want to talk to people because that was a freshly coated vehicle.
Yeah,
but literally. with literally freshly coated, right? That was its first wash. Need to get off that dirty rain, but it just goes to show how bad contamination can be, and that's whether it's from the road, that's whether it's from the sky, whatever it may be. It just can happen, and kind of make people feel uncertain about what they just put on or what they paid for, and then they complain and they go on the internet and type it up and say this product sucks, and I say,
and other people who already don't like that thing or are annoyed by some other small tangent of it decide, oh yeah, that's totally right, yeah, you should hate that.
Yeah, it sucks. So, but anyway, I did that, and then about halfway through my second wash, my pressure washer fell off the shelf, 5 feet onto the ground.
Did it break?
It did not.
Oh, good.
So
I thought we were going to need a fourth cube.
Well, if I've learned anything about the Karcher cube, it's that they break themselves just fine.
That's
but
true.
When you actually try and throw them off things, they take the abuse. That's very confusing.
The Karcher 1700 cube survived the fall off my shelf. Basically, what happened, I'd yanked the cord. I didn't realize I'd yanked it and pulled it closer to the edge, and then the vibrations finished the rest. But other than that, I've never had it move on me because what I did is I put magnets on the stainless shelf to prevent it from coming forward, right?
Nice.
With big, thick magnets. That's been my solution for that. But really what I probably should have done was just magnetized like the bottom of the feet or something. So, picked it up. It totally screwed up my plasti job on the front. So I had to peel it off after I was done. Yeah. But but I just washed the cars, cleaned everything up. Then Katie said, out of nowhere, it was amazing, right? She's never said this to me. She says, hey, are you in the mood for Buffalo Wild Wings tonight, right?
What?
Which, not my first wing choice, but the fact that she brought up a wing idea, because she's not a wing person, was amazing. So we had some wings, and just kind of hung out and kicked back, relaxed. Now, a couple things. Made a post last night, right? Wanted to stir the pot a little bit, right? About bead maker.
Yeah,
right?
Bob Phillips called us.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I'm pretty upset that you said this.
No, he just said, good job. Tell Anthony, good job.
So it was just what's funny, because it was kind of the realization as I was finishing up Katie's 4Runner, right? And I was wiping everything down. What blew me away was bead maker was the last thing I put on her car, right?
2 months ago.
And it was 2 months ago. Her car was not exposed to the dirty rain, fortunately. Because
it was in the garage.
Right? But it was still absolutely filthy.
Yeah.
Walking up to that car and touching it
Bugs
was like
on it.
haunting.
It's been sitting out.
But what was crazy is that for a car that wasn't exposed to the same things that the Exos were exposed to, or Exo and CSL, right? When I went to go start spraying that car off, it was beating up insanely well. Like, it was like holy crap. The lowers didn't have too much beating, but everything up top there, all the windows, everything that I hit with bead maker on the previous wash was like, oh my God, like this is still there. And it's been 2 months where I haven't washed this car, even with the contamination on it, right?
Yeah.
And so, because the car doesn't have anything else on it, I don't even know what's on. I think just bead maker, because we didn't do anything when it was here for the last time we washed it in the studio. And I was just amazed. I was just completely blown away. And so what it kind of came to me to realize is that as I was taking my liquidator and drying the bead maker into the surface, using it as my drying aid, right, part of me thinks to myself, this is probably going to seal my liquidator. Probably going to have to do a rags to riches wash right after this, right, as I normally would do. But it got me thinking to myself, I have towels, liquidators, that I've used once. I've used with gauntlets, right? I've used with everything else. And same thing with customers, right, who have used with bead maker, and it sealed their towels indefinitely, right? And they say, oh my gosh, my towels are ruined because I used Bead Maker to dry, right? Or I used this, or I used Bead Maker once and my towels are no longer usable. It's been like this for months. I've done countless washes, can't get the sealant out, right? Well, what do I do now, right? And Rags to Riches is the answer for that. But those are the same people that I've seen online, right, who complain that Bead Maker doesn't last. Who say
with an authoritative bent, as in they know all, and it's definitely the case, and anybody who says differently is clearly just chilling or lying or something.
And they're going to say, they're also going to say, it doesn't last on something that it's designed to bond to, yet how come it lasts for so long on a fabric that it's not designed to bond to?
Yes. On a microfiber towel that it's not meant to stick to.
It's not meant to stick to.
And then you wash that microfiber towel countless times, right? With just detergent, right?
Yeah.
Even free and clear detergent has cleaning ability, right? And it doesn't come out, right?
Yeah, it doesn't break the polymer.
It doesn't break the polymer, and that towel is still sealed. And I'm like, if that can survive that many washes, right, and still be in there, I guarantee you that Bead Maker is surviving longer on your car than you think it is, which goes back to my initial conversation of the contamination on a surface that might prevent somebody from thinking it's sticking longer than lasting, right?
Exactly.
Or there's other types of outside, things that could be, causing an issue. But I think that people get so hung up on that. And I kind of laugh to myself because I'm like, dude, it's the same people that say Bead Maker doesn't last. It's not even a polymer sealant. It's, it's a garbage product. Spend your money on something that's better.
It's the echo chamber
of the detailing side of the internet. Who are say, oh, Bead Maker sealed my towels. What do I do? So I'm like, so you still continue to use Bead Maker, yet you still talk down on it.
Yeah.
There's a cognitive dissonance going on there.
You still have proof that it is sealing something for long periods of time. And the car that sits in your garage apparently doesn't last longer than a week.
No.
You guys don't know what the heck you're doing.
If you extrapolate all that information, all you're hearing is, when it comes to sealing my towels, it's the best. But when it comes to sealing my paint, it's the worst. Well, how's that?
Yeah, I don't even know how it's possible. So anyway, that was just a kind of a thing that I thought of last night. And something that I've literally taken from real customers in conversations from the same people, right? Whether I'm helping them on the Auto Geek forums on Facebook, whether I'm seeing this on the Instagram DMs, all this stuff. Like, I've seen requests that we've gotten that I missed. Maybe I didn't get to answer in a timely manner, right? Where it's, is Bead Maker really that good? It didn't last for me. I just bought it. I don't think I want this product anymore. How can I return it? To Bead Maker sealed my towel. It won't come out. Literally in the same message group. And I'm like...
And they don't even see, what the bigger, broader message they're giving is.
Look above there.
But it's also those people
which is it?
But it's also those people that don't... They want the car so clean and so protected that they exceed the limits. Like, their want and desire for protection is unattainable, yet they still drive towards that unattainable. I'm going to top all these products, and then I'm going to be frustrated when
something streaks,
something puts on
react right.
that it doesn't work right, or it starts to bond itself into something else, or they go to wash their car.
Yeah.
And they go, there's no hydrophobics, and I've got 8 products on top of it.
Clearly, they have all failed.
All of them must have failed. I'm going to start fresh. It's like, well, no.
Buddy.
Go back to the drawing board. Yeah.
When in reality, all you need is this product and this product. That's it.
Oh, yeah. And then just realizing that claying a coated or contaminated vehicle is still a thing, right? Also being able to use some type of stronger cleaners on certain things are needed to remove contamination, or just understanding where the contamination came from. For example, I know that dirty rain happened. So I could say that's how I know that I lost my hydrophobic properties for that period of time, because there's a thick, sticky, dirty rain. That's what it was. So those are just things to think about. But I think that right now, I think Bead Maker is getting kind of lit up recently. And I know that we talked to Bob about this a little bit, because Matt from Obsessed, we love Matt. Seriously, Matt's one of our favorite people. But he has his new drying aid, right? People think that because he came out with his drying aid product that he hates Bead Maker.
Yeah. That's not the case.
That is not the case, right? because Matt says whatever comes to his mind, right? So he could
He
say
has no
something
filter.
in passing,
Yeah.
and people will take onto that and hold on to it.
Oh, they take it like gospel.
And they're
He
like,
doesn't even realize
He doesn't
when he
realize.
says something that's like inflammatory. He just says it because it's like that's what he's feeling in that exact moment. But don't take it as a zero-sum game where he says something is good or bad, and then therefore the other things that he hasn't mentioned are somehow good or bad
it's like
by
they put it in the
association. That's
canon.
not how it
They
works.
put it
for
in the
him.
Bible of Matt and go, well, he said this.
well, and because people listen to the podcast, they can literally pinpoint in the podcast where he says something and say he said this. It's the gospel.
Well, and the audience
It's-
obsesses the way he
and they get,
obsesses,
like,
so they
crazy
get like
about it.
fixated
But just
on
know
it.
that if Matt hated Beatmaker, why would he have used it for literally 3 years straight,
Yeah.
or however long it's
Yeah, that
been,
doesn't
2.5,
make
3
sense.
years straight, right? Of constant Beatmaker,
Yeah.
right? He has sold thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of gallons of
Mm-hmm.
Beatmaker. He's sold 32-ounce bottles. He's sold pints, right? Why would he hate something, right? If that was the case, right? What it is he's found something that works better for him in his area that he likes, right? Probably has pretty good margins on it too, right? Considering where he's probably getting it from.
you would assume.
And he's probably doing things to basically make it a little bit simpler for him, right? And honestly, maybe he doesn't want to answer all the people that just naturally hate Beatmaker, and he doesn't want to deal with the customer service. I get it, right?
That's
there will
probably
there will always
a
be
chunk of it, too.
customer service, but this might be something that maybe is just easier and that he can feel like is just more manageable for him. So people are hating on Beatmaker because they think Matt hates it. Matt doesn't hate Beatmaker, right? He still loves a lot of the P&S products. And honestly, I think if it wasn't confusing for the customers, he probably maybe would even still carry Beatmaker.
And you got to
I don't
remember,
know.
Beatmaker works easy for us here in Idaho.
Very
It's-
easy.
It's not as easy in humid states.
Yeah, it's not very human here. But I guess the great irony, too, is that when it comes down to it, a lot of the people who tend to express those kinds of feelings are the same people who are like the do your own research, think for yourself type people. And then they wind up falling into their own echo chambers.
Yeah.
It's kind of hilarious. And for everybody sitting outside
sounds
of it,
about
looking
right.
at it, it's kind of obvious.
Well, I just think that I know the P&S guys are under fire right now from this whole situation, and they're feeling like what the heck, man? Like, why is all this hate coming out of nowhere, right? Well,
It's
first off,
the nature of the
Beatmaker
beast.
already had a huge hateful audience that was already existing. They were just literally waiting with their pitchforks and knives and everything like that in the basement until somebody let them out.
They're waiting for somebody
with
to
a reason.
slip, and then they're just like, oh, got him.
Yeah.
It turns into that.
But
Thank
it's
you,
just,
Yoshi.
That's exactly what it was. They were just waiting for an attack, but they didn't have a lot of ammo because they knew that Matt was behind it. We're behind it. Obviously a lot of other big people around, behind it. Even Pan the organizer is still behind Beatmaker. All these people are still behind it. It's just they were waiting for an opportunity, and so
Yoshi, you in particular probably want to go back and listen to this whole section we've been talking here because it's right up your alley.
But I don't know. I just think that people have also commented about, do we think that Beatmaker has a silly scent or die? Absolutely freaking not, dude. First off, I think Beatmaker is one of the best experienced products because of the scent. I think people are it is something that provides them some type of therapy. They enjoy the scent. They enjoy the process
100%.
of it, right? And for people that don't understand how chemistry works when it comes to this stuff,
They
the
just put
scent-
durability
the
on a
scent-
pedestal above everything
The scent and the
else.
dye are such a small, minuscule amount of what makes up that product, right? There is more water in that product than there is scent and dye, right?
Yeah.
Dye is nothing. I mean, it is... I can't... Yeah, you'd have to have the chemist come in here and talk about that. Everything is so concentrated in that. There's such a less amount of that, right?
Agreed.
You should be more concerned. You should be saying, the question I guess you should be asking is, how much water is in this product? There's water in every product, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sure if you told people there's water in your product, they'd freak out and be like, there's water in my chemicals. Well, yeah, how the hell do you think it's made,
It
right?
literally doesn't work without it in most cases.
So it's just there's such a small amount of that kind of stuff. I mean, a majority of chemicals are water. That's literally that's how you get your starting point. And then you're adding in your surfactants, you're adding in your detergents, you're adding in things like that. But even those are a small concentrated dose to make them what they are. And so there's even thickeners. There's all sorts of stuff that you can add to the products. But I think that people get so hung up on the on the small
they just
things.
think durability is the end all be all.
And I'm like, dude, just because you eliminated a dye and scent, do you think that was immediately replaced with durability?
Yeah, right?
No. It just makes it easier on the chemists because they don't have to add that in there. And the other thing, too, I will say, from a chemistry standpoint, from what I understand from Dave, right, and talking with other chemists, is that sometimes dyes and scents may have a negative effect on maybe the combination of everything else, right?
Yeah.
In terms of
polymers,
in terms of this, they might
binding.
say that, hey, that dye didn't last, right? Because the something in the chemical started eating away the dye,
which we see in O&R when you dilute it down to 256:1 after a month of sitting.
Yeah, so the dyes aren't stable for long periods of time. So they might say, hey, there's an issue with that, or maybe like let's just say the scent, right, whatever it might be, had an effect, and maybe it started. I don't know. I don't want to say coagulating, but it might start doing something else,
or
right?
It just starts to lessen.
Yeah, it starts to lessen or something like that, or the scent starts going away. So a lot of those things aren't even stable, and depending on the chemistry they use, they may not last for a very long period of time. But I don't think that they're a large enough portion of that chemical to ever cause any area of concern. Yeah. However, I will say that there are products out there where I've said, "Oh my God, they put way too much dye in this." Right?
That's when you actually see.
So, well, for example, and this is not to throw
really
under the bus, but people probably know what I'm talking about. So, for example, is that I think that like the MTM soap, for example, there's a ton of dye in that, right? It's very pink, right? It's very beautiful once it's on the car, but in my opinion, I'm like, dang, they really put a lot of dye in this.
Syrup.
It doesn't need that much dye. But that's one example.
It's
fun,
fun,
say the MTM soap, but I don't know. I just think that people need to realize that dyes and scents don't have the effect that you think it has. It is just easier for the chemists. It's probably a little bit cheaper. And for people that don't care about it, then they just don't care about it. But it's not silly because it makes sense. For detailers in a shop that some people, they have to pick up a product and smell it. What is this, right? Okay, it's this, right?
Well, and you got to think also, Koch, when we met them, a couple of years ago.
They said scents were stupid. Yeah,
they
said
it was Anthony and I who told them, no, you got to add colors and scents like that. You got to do that because that's what people liked seeing.
It's the same reason.
Like, detailers don't like scents. And that's when we laughed and had a great time about it. So
perhaps it's the particular details.
It's one of those things where it's like,
dealing with.
Yeah, it's just everybody's different. And you guys got to remember, like Warren says down there, Matt's turn from product to product is evidence that he's always searching for the perfect solution for him. And that he only is finding that by trying new things all the time. And that's what is Matt. He loves trying things. He loves looking for different solutions to different questions and problems. It doesn't mean that he dislikes a product or doesn't want to use that product anymore. It just means
Matt has
found
gone
something
through
else.
several iterations of our towels.
Yeah.
And he's gone, but the thing is, dude, his opinion's always changing. We've sent him towels, right? He says, hate that towel.
Yeah.
A year
6 months later, loves
later,
it.
Hey, I freaking love that towel, dude. We sent this to you a year ago. He's like,
yeah, I found it.
I
didn't really
like
use it
then,
until like
but
a week
I love
ago.
it now. We don't care.
And
we're cool with that.
But that's what's so
how
great
it's
is that's personal preference, and that's what detailing is at the end of the day.
Yoshi pointed out here. I mean, so people are talking about humidity and stuff like that. Some people might have issues, some people might not. But if you go to Yoshi or here, the only reason Matt's getting rid of the dye is probably because it was causing issues. So it may have been causing issues for him, but what people think is it's causing issues for them as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they attach to that because Matt could literally just say in a podcast, "Oh, the dye was causing issue. What was it causing issue? Was it was staining my towels." Or he could say,
because it could be that.
or he could say, I don't know, whatever the heck he wanted to call it, right?
Who knows?
For whatever reason, but then people think that that's their issue too.
Yeah. And they go, oh, I better not use that because I don't want that issue.
And then it becomes gospel on the internet.
And it becomes gospel, and I'm just like, dude, it's really not that. It's really not that big of a deal.
Well,
it's not even. I'm like, you've been using it for 2.5 years. Was it ever an issue for you? And they go, no, but it could be now because Matt has an issue with it.
But remember the Adams Black products?
Oh,
they
like,
had?
Oh yeah, they had a black detail spray.
They had a black detail spray that had a black dye in it that would dye your white towel black or gray.
And it wouldn't come out either.
It literally
wouldn't
just
come
looked
out.
like dirty water when you spray it on your...
It looked cool. A lot of people probably bought it and enjoyed it because they're like, finally, blackout. This is going to be great. Not everything works. And sometimes, we do a lot of processing. So that's one of the reasons here at the Rag Company, before we bring anything on, we test.
Yoshi says, right, not in Beadmaker, but in his new drying aid product, right?
Yeah.
So if a scent or a dye was causing issue with that chemically, right, then that should then you could say that, right? But if you were to market it as saying no silly scents and no dyes, right, you're now using that as an advantage of a marketing standpoint by saying that it doesn't have this because it's better than other products.
That's marketing.
That's marketing. That's
how you market.
And people need to
As
understand
marketers,
that that's marketing.
we know it when we see it.
I know when I see it, and so
we're not marketers, guys. We're hype men.
Oh, that's what we are.
Hype makers.
But that's just another way to word that around. If it doesn't work with the chemistry, then he just said it shouldn't have worked with the chemistry and maybe been more open about it. But I think that if he says there's no dense or there's no sense or dyes, then people think, well, all the products I've been using with sensor dyes are absolute garbage, and I shouldn't use any of those.
They take that and they push it to all the other things they've ever experienced, which is not
GSF has scent and dye. It's got plenty of scent in it, and people freaking love GSF. It's amazing.
I was going to say, the reason that you put scents in products like that is the same reason we give our towels names, generally speaking, because if it was the old generic alphanumeric, code, people wouldn't really have a vested interest in it. They'd maybe really like it, but when the friend goes, oh, what's that towel called? And then they go, 16, oh, it's 41016-1616-B-EL.
Yeah.
Then they go, I'm not going to remember that. So
Eagle Edgeless, blue.
If you get a scent of a product, and immediately you build that connection in your brain, and you're able to associate it, and you're able to move on. But like you said, identify products. It's a whole conversation.
And the thing is, I'm not trying to talk bad. I'm not talking bad about Matt. Me and Matt are friends. I love Matt.
We are.
I think he's great. I think that
people attach too much value.
A lot of his followers just basically, and what it does is creates a headache for us here, because then we have so much crossover between our followings.
We do the customer service for
that. Like, they hit me with all this stuff, and I'm like, dang it, Matt, why did you say that? And he's like, well, I don't know, it just came to my mind. And I'm like, you have a big voice in this, and we love you, but sometimes you cause me a great deal of headaches with some of these things I have to answer. And so, anyway, so that's all I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
And then as far as like, if you are worried about staining or dyes or anything like that in products, don't be worried about them, guys, because rags to riches will solve a lot of that in terms of getting a lot of the majority of those things out. But I think that for the lifespan of a towel and how long you're using it, for some people, the look of a towel is very important, especially on their white towels or light-colored towels. But it's never bothered me, and I just understand it's kind of unsightly for some people. But hell, that's why you buy more towels, and that's why we're in business, because people want to have clean towels all the time, and I get it.
There you go.
Dane, take us home.
All right. So, Umberto here with the last comment. I have different color towels. I've never seen bead makers staining any of them, even with my white microfiber towels. Well, that's definitely one person's opinion, and we're rolling with that. But dye scents, all that stuff, feel free to leave your comments below, and we might be able to touch on those later. But for the time being, guys, we appreciate you watching. We appreciate you listening. And, of course, we thank you in advance for hitting that subscribe button and the bell so you know every time we're dropping a new video here on the Rag Company Podcast YouTube channel. And make sure you do it over on the main Rag Company YouTube channel as well. Now I've said that, that's really all there is, guys. So we'll see you later this week on the main channel for Q&A Thursday. See ya.
See ya.